That's the third principle.
In fact, Stanford Research Institute says that 87% of your success is people knowledge, and 13% of your success is product knowledge. John Maxwell states that you're in the people business. Like with your life, it's all about like how you can relate to people and just basically people business.
So I was with my wife Margaret, and we went to Nordstrom's, and I saw a sign that just blew me away. It said, "The difference between stores is the way they treat their people." So, another story. I was at a conference with my wife Margaret, and it was a question and answer conference. They could ask us anything, and we were there to answer. And we're there, and this lady says, "Yeah, I have a question for Margaret." She said, "Okay." She says, "Yeah, does your husband John make you happy?" And I happen to love this question. I was like, "Tell him, Margaret, tell him." Because I just happen to think I'm a marvelous husband. And she says, "No, he doesn't make me happy." And you know when you ask someone a question and you just regret asking them once you hear the answer? She says, "I realized he didn't make me happy within the first 6 months of our marriage." Because in the first 6 months of our marriage, I'd be home and I say, "Oh, John's coming home, I'm going to get happy." But that's not what it was. She told him, "I want everyone in this conference room to know that if anything to walk away with, know that the only person that makes you happy is you." She says, "John adds on to my happiness. He adds on to my happiness in tremendous ways." That goes for everyone. If you are a happy person, other people will make you happy. And that was it.
So for the number 4 principle of attitude is that we can turn our problems into blessings. It doesn't matter how big the problem is, but the attitude that you take upon that problem. Now, I've come to the conclusion that married couples that divorce don't have that big of a problem because in the beginning, before they were married, they worked very hard to stay happy and they knew that this is the person they wanted to spend the rest of their life with. And if they would have chose that same attitude throughout the divorce, everything would have been okay. Now, let me kind of store that on that. Again, stories.
So I used to counsel people. I used to be a counselor for a lot of married people. And you know, you guys heard of premarital counseling? You know, they come in there, they're all lovey-dovey. There's 2 chairs, they both sit in one, you know. I'm not used to talking to them. They say, "You got a house to live in?" "No, but you know, uncle's going away in 6 months, we're gonna live there." "You got a car?" "No." And then they drive off and he opens the door, she goes in, slides into the other side. She could have just gone in her own door. They drive off in the sunset. 3 years later, they come back, they're all mad and angry at each other, sitting on opposite sides of the room. They have a car, they have a house, they had everything they didn't have. But what were they doing? They were glaring at each other. They used to look at each other in the best of eyes and loving, and now they looked at each other in the worst of eyes. And that was because of their attitude.
According to John Maxwell, everyone has problems. No one here, no one in the world, no one doesn't have problems. He says that the letter P stands for predictor, which means the ability to predict what you will become by the way you respond to your problems. He thinks that R stands for reminder, that everyone has problems because they are a way of life. The O stands for opportunity, because every problem gives us the chance to rethink the situation. The letter B stands for blessing, because every blessing begins with a trial or problem. The letter L stands for lessons. Problems teach you lessons. The letter E stands for everywhere. There are problems everywhere in life. The letter M stands for messages. Every problem sends us a message. And the letter S stands for solvable, because every problem is solvable.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fifth and final principle of attitudes is that with a great attitude, it will help us handle failure. We all have gone through failure, and we all have, you know, handled it in good and bad ways. But what key thing to know is that if you have a great attitude, failure will be very easy to handle. Now, today, I have opened your eyes to understanding that right attitude will change your life, and it will change the way you see life in itself. Now, I hope that you choose, I hope that you remember one thing. Remember to choose your attitude every morning you wake up, because it will make that day probably the best day you've ever had.
Okay. And then we chose him because he's motivational, and everybody has something to gain by listening to him. He makes you think and open your eyes and see life from a different perspective. And he's significant because he helps people that have bad attitudes, helps them like turn around their life. And he inspired us because he believes what he says. He does not just all about talk, he really truly believes it.